I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am a giant. Don't hide your emotions. You can throw down your guard and feed from the notion. We can be who we are. You taught me something, yeah. Freedom is out. It was you taught me living it. Togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulder.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have you all here for the Valuable 500 What's Next live stream and to share with you our plans for phase 2. I'm Claire Brentnell, Director of Events at the Valuable 500. I know many of you through the hundreds of events that Caroline's participated in over the last couple of years. So thank you all for all your support. Before I hand you over to our founder, Caroline Casey, and CEO, Joanna McGrath, I just wanted to go through with some housekeeping with you. To ensure our session is fully accessible, we have international sign available and captions in 4 languages: English, Japanese, French, and Spanish. You can choose which stream you would like to view using the labeled tabs. Please share questions with us in Slido in the Q&A box, which can be found below the stream window. Please note that we're only able to take questions in English in the English stream. If you need to view a stream in another language and you would like to ask a question, please do email me at claire@thevaluable500.com. You'll also find my email address in the confirmation email you received when you registered. Thank you, everyone. And I'd now like to hand you over to Caroline.
But I just want to say thank you, Claire. Everybody who would have known, it's not hundreds of events, Claire. I think we've done thousands of events. We sold our stove. But thank you to Claire for making this happen and for all of you for being with us today. Now, I need to say something. For the fact that the founder is from Ireland, Diagwich, which is the Gaelic for hello, is not included in there. But I am giving it to you. Hi from Ireland, from beside my washing machine. And just before we came on, I wanted to say, we're doing this. This isn't just a Zoom that we're talking on panels or we're hustling or we're begging. We're coming to you with our moment, I guess, and you before anybody else. So this is a really big moment for us as a team. For me personally, who, as a lot of you know, have been hustling for a long time. And there is nothing more momentous than being able to have what is sitting here beside me on the screen, which is a phenomenal CEO who I am honestly so lucky to have been working with. Joanna McGrath, that's her official title, Jojo, what I call her. I don't even know if she wants to be called that. But when you found something and you create something, you never imagine that people will want to work with you. And we have an amazing team, but we're like a double-headed leader. I don't know, is it a two horns show? But anyway, I want to introduce you to Jojo McGrath.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. 2 unicorn horns, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, unicorns.
Oh, thank you so much. And hello, everyone. Huge welcome to you all. Thank you all for dialing in today. And actually, thank you all for everything that you have done to help us over the last 2.5 years and way beyond. I know a lot of you are personal friends of Caroline, but the Valuable 500 wouldn't be where it is today without the expert partners and the collaborators and every single one of you that has introduced us to companies, has shared our content, has kept our spirits up. It's taken thousands and thousands of actions, small actions and big actions, to get us to where we are today. And we are hugely proud and excited to be sharing our phase 2 plan with you ahead of sharing it with the community next week. I think I know everybody. I've met everybody that's dialed in, but if I haven't met you yet, I'd love to. My name is Joanna McGrath. Joe is fine. Jojo, if you insist. And I'm the CEO here at the Valuable 500. I've been working with Caroline and the team for the last, just since the February after the launch at Davos in 2019. And it has been my huge pleasure to watch this global movement grow and to work on the phase 2 plan. And as I said, we're excited to share it with you today. I have had a coffee, so sorry about that, but I will try and speak slowly. And we're excited to hear your feedback today.
Okay, well, so I've also had coffee, but we also know that I speak way too fast. So we're going to start and just take a moment for all of us to just have a look what we did before we present our phase 2, which we're really proud of. And I kind of want to start this whole thing off with, they said we couldn't do it. Because let's be honest, they did. They're like, who do you think you are to go and think that you can build a community of 500 CEOs with their signatures and start it from the main stage of the World Economic Forum? Yeah, well, they said we couldn't. Yeah, but we did. We totally did. And we did because of you. And I want to hold here for just 2 seconds. From this moment on in the presentation, you will be seeing the exact presentation that we will be showing our Valuable 500 community on May 11th. We are being fully transparent so that you will understand where you will fit in as we start mapping the next 3 years. We want you to see what they see. But it's also a great moment for me to say to you, for those of you who'll remember being in the EY offices in April 2018, hosted by the amazing, formidable Fleur Boswick, there was a group of us around the table. And I always remember Kate Nash being at the end. And she gave me this moment. She just goes, you want to accelerate change. And in a way, that is exactly what's happened. But then it was just an idea, right? You guys know that. You know that it was an idea. And there's those of you who are on this call, like Susan Scott Barker, who have known me a long time ago, who knew that we wanted to do a movement since 2007. The difference is that we all worked together. The difference is that you backed us. And you backed us even if you didn't fully believe we could. And I want to say thank you, because this is for us. It's for all of us. And this is yours as much as ours. And our whole intention is to rise the tide for all of us. It was never to compete, but it was to create a massive community who we can all benefit from serving and benefit from seeing the success of, for the disability community to reach their potential. So now, with great pride, we can say we are the Valuable 500, transforming disability inclusion through business. So here is a little video. It's a little cheesy, and it's a bit of get your dance on moving, and it's also out of date, which is a lovely thing to say. So enjoy, and then we're going to introduce you to Paul Pullman. At Davos 2019, we put disability inclusion center stage for the first time and made a worldwide call. So this is a crisis. But there is a solution to help end the disability inequality crisis by putting disability on the global business leadership agenda. One influential CEO stood with us, Paul Pullman, along with Virgin Media, Omnicom Group and One Young World. Together, we launched the Valuable 500 and asked 500 of the world's biggest business leaders and their brands to join.
500 companies, let's make it possible. Because difference is about humanity.
I'm so proud that Virgin Media has joined the Valuable 500.
All great leaders need to do the right thing by their people.
We need to make our organisations far more accessible and open to difference. We need to celebrate those differences.
Leaders with the ambition and influence to transform the global business system, shaping a society that includes everybody.
I do retail. Sometimes operators put always their clothes in the best.
Today, over 450 CEOs representing 17 million employees have joined, including some of the world's most influential organizations. But we need more, so many more. What began as a campaign is now a system change community, powered by the Nippon Foundation and supported by the World Economic Forum and the International Disability Alliance. This community of global pioneers will now work together to future-proof business, the economy and wider society.
I am on a mission to ensure that nobody gets left behind.
If you think everybody has value, everybody can be capable, and no one should be excluded, then join us now, because disability is your business. Yeah, so it's a bit cheesy, but it still makes my heart race, and it still makes this emotional person want to kind of get up and shriek, because disability is our business. And for all of you collaborators on this call, disability is our business. And you've made this happen with us in partnership, bringing companies, support, challenging us, keeping us real. And I can't mention you all. However, we did promise that we would reveal the organizations that topped our leaderboard. So I can hear the screams coming from across the world. And we have at the moment a tie between Mirairo and Emi of Japan and Michal Yuval and the team in Access Israel. So Michal, it's there. So just to say, these are the two organizations that astoundingly together nearly brought 100 companies to the table. So an amazing achievement. But that being said, every single individual has helped us to get to this point. And when we talk about individuals, I want to introduce now Paul Pullman to you. And he is our chairman, and we could not be more proud to have somebody like him with us. He is the chairman from the very beginning. And you know the story. I had to ride across Colombia on a horse to the main stage of One Young World to meet Paul Pullman, and it was completely by accident. We wanted him as our chairman because he was the CEO of Unilever. And also, more importantly, he was a CEO who had brought a new way of business. He was the one who really talked about sustainability within business. And a lot of CEOs at the time were looking at him with raised eyebrows. But when you see somebody like that doing it, he was the one that we wanted. Now, he shouldn't have been in the room the day we found him, but Cher was just about to go on stage. And so we had that moment of serendipity. And from that moment on, he has stood with us, bringing his influence, his heart and his passion. He would be with you today, but he's also a very busy man. And since we have him for on the 11th, he's sent a video and wants us to say thank you. I think some of you have already met him, but this is from him to you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks to you all for signing up to the Valuable 500. You're an amazing group of leaders, 500 strong, and amongst the most respected companies in the world. You saw the benefit of tapping into the 1.3 billion people with disabilities and their $8 trillion spending power. You understood the power of creating an environment where each and everybody can develop to their fullest potential. And you understood the imperative of creating an inclusive economy that works for all and does not leave anybody behind. The demands on CEOs are enormous, and not all challenges can be solved alone. That's why you belong to this courageous collective. Not only to share and learn, but more importantly, to drive the needed systems changes, so we can change the face of disability once and for all. It is in our collective power to do so. We cannot stop until we translate the valuable 500 into a valuable world for all. And that includes the 1.3 billion people with disabilities. Let's now use our collective forces and change the system for the better. As the African proverb goes, alone you can go fast, but together you can go far. Now is the moment to go far and leverage our collective weight and change disability into possibility once and for all. Thank you very much.
Once and for all, right, Joe? Once and for all. And we never thought that we would be here. So I think Joe and I have a great sense of pride as we reveal the figures to you, because he said, look at the power of the collective. Now look at what you've built. Look at what you did. We have broken the global business leadership silence and disability inclusion. We did it with these figures. 500 board level commitments signed by CEOs representing 20 million employees around the world. And that's from 35 countries. It represents 64 sectors, 500 global supply chains, and the power of 8 trillion in revenue. Look at that influence and power. So what are we going to do with this unprecedented influence, intention, and very unique time that we're in today with the pandemic? Well, we are going to hack a global business solution like no other, because we have the power to do something really big. Our ambition is truly audacious, that we will transform the global business system to make it accessible and inclusive of the 1.3 billion people in society and their families. Everybody knows we talk about business. All of you on the call know why business, because let's be honest, we believe in business. We know business is the most powerful force on our planet. We know that people see it every day, touch it every day, and believe in its power because it is not political. We buy from business. We work with business. We supply business. We create with business. Look at that ripple effect. Even philanthropy comes from the success of business. It is business has the power to make the change, and it is business that has been missing mostly for how it can bring that power to play to end the disability exclusion crisis. It is possible. It is about the will of business. But there has been a missing piece to date, and we all know what that missing piece was, and it was these dudes, these women and men who sat at the head of their businesses. We know that CEOs are some of the most powerful people in the world today. They can make change happen in a day, sometimes in hours, where a politician or a government or a convention can't, and it's just the nature of it. So what do we do with these 500? We know that the business, yeah, it can do good stuff, but it can't really strategically change without the CEO. We know the business needs to be supported by the CEO. And okay, so that's great. So we get one CEO, one business, 5 CEOs and 5 business, that's great. But listen, no system can change with just a handful, but it can change with 500. It can change with thousands and thousands of wills and intention. And for those of you who cannot see the slide here, it's like as if there is 1,000 fireflies going against a dark night. Not one firefly will ever light a black sky. But if you had hundreds and thousands of them, then you can. What about those 20 million employees underneath those CEOs? Then we could make the change happen, right? Then we can light up that sky. And that is what's so important, because the valuable 500, yes, it's about the CEO, but it's about the CEO supporting the business, all the people in the business with their intelligence and experience and influence and passion and curiosity. And all of that combined is the magic of the Valuable 500, is the intelligent, beautiful magic. Our USP is the collective global influence and scale of 500 companies and their CEOs. And that's where the excitement happens. So together we've built a community, a historic community, the second biggest community in the world of CEOs after UN Global Compact. And now is our time to activate and innovate for system change. And we've got to do it big, hard and well, and completely unapologetically. And so we have designed a plan, a transformation program. And we have done that because we had the unique opportunity with business, designed with the Valuable 500 companies, designed with and for them, and with an awful lot of your feedback as collaborators. But most importantly, we have looked at this transformation program for the business community, but the business community needs to serve the disability community. And therefore, we have made sure that we have had the disability community really look at this idea and plan and see if it's what they want. And this is what they want. So very quickly, before I hand to Joe, let's look at this timeline. We launched in 2019 on the main stage of the World Economic Forum, not some inspirational side stage. And by the following year, we had got 250 CEOs in their companies. And by the following year, which is just a few months ago, we announced the Nippon Foundation, IDA and WEF, more on that later. And as of just a few days ago, here we stand with 500 CEOs, their companies and the power of their businesses. And here with you today, you get the first curtain draw on phase 2. On May the 18th, we are launching publicly. On May the 11th, we go out to our 500 CEO community. And so with real excitement, I pass on to Jojo.
Perfect. Thank you, Caroline. So here it is. Welcome to phase 2. Welcome to phase 2, our partners, our collaborators, and the group of people that really helped us to get where we are today. I think Caroline has touched on it, but phase 1 has really been about us building this global movement of 500 CEOs. Some of them were CEOs of organizations with 1,000 employees. Some of them were CEOs of organizations with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of employees. And all we asked them to do, small or big, was commit to one action. Even if it was tiny actions, even if it was 500 tiny actions, we felt that that could be enough to start to drive a tipping point and change. So what we've really developed is a movement of a melting pot, if you like, of 500 CEOs representing 500 businesses who have all committed to 500 completely different actions. And you can see those on our website. Phase 2 is all about all 500 of those CEOs and their businesses moving as one group to affect change. We have spent the past 2.5 years, talking to thousands and thousands of companies. So to get to 500, obviously, we've had to talk to thousands and thousands of companies. And Caroline has spent a lifetime, 25 years, talking to leaders, talking to C-suite, talking to companies about the blockers to the system when it comes to disability inclusion within business. And as you will know, we've heard the same topics over and over and over. Across geographies, across sectors, whether companies are global, whether companies are national, it's the same themes that come through over and over again. And really, we've used these opportunities for conversations as a kind of live, ongoing global focus group to talk to the C-suite, to talk to companies, to really understand what it is that they need and what they want, and to develop our phase 2 strategy. So we have developed this transformation program. And our transformation program focuses on 6 impact areas, as you can see here on this slide. The 3 on the right-hand side are the internal drivers, where CEOs can directly impact their own organizations, the leadership team that work for them, their C-suite, the culture of their organization across the board more broadly, so the people that work for them, and of course, their customers, the people that buy from them, the products they make, and the services they provide. And then on the left-hand side of the slide, we've got our 3 external drivers, where our CEOs can drive change collectively as a group of 500 and begin to influence the system through the lens of disability. They can do that in the way they collectively report on their disability activity. We know what gets reported gets done. the way that they collectively research the topic of disability for their employees and for their customers, and the way that they represent people with disabilities in their communications, both internally and externally. So we have designed solutions, as Caroline mentioned, within each of these 6 impact areas to answer the challenges that we've heard our companies talking about repeatedly, that we've heard you talking about repeatedly, and that we've heard the disabled community talking about repeatedly. It is the same topics that come up over and over again. But the exciting news is, or some of the exciting news is, that these initiatives will be financed, they will be created, developed and tested by 15 of the companies from within the Valuable 500.
I think we should do a drum roll here, right?
I know, I do feel this. I feel like we need some sort of dance. So meet the Iconic Leaders. The Iconic Leaders are a collective group of global CEOs and their teams who will be working with us in phase 2 to create these signature initiatives and drive system change for people with disabilities. We have, here they are, we have 13 global CEOs confirmed, with space for 2 more. And we couldn't be more delighted to be sharing with them the names of the organizations with you today. These are the organizations who will be co-funding and co-creating with us in phase 2. And you'll see we've got some absolute giants of industry here listed. Even one of these would be amazing. To have 13 of them is really, Caroline and I and the team couldn't be prouder. The global CEO of Sony in Japan, the global CEO of Mahindra in India, of Omnicom Global Communications, Verizon, amazing, Sky. We've got Salesforce, Mark Benioff from Salesforce, and Sundar Pichai has confirmed from the global CEO of Google just this last couple of weeks. These are just huge giants of industry. We're just so excited to be announcing them. Procter & Gamble, Allianz, Deloitte and EY, the London Stock Exchange Group, and even the BBC. The Director General of the BBC will be one of our Iconic Leaders, which is just absolutely fantastic. You'll see that we've got some companies in the same sector, but we fiercely believe, as do our Iconic Leader companies, that disability inclusion is a space where competition needs to be set aside for the sake of progress. There's no space for competition to get in the way. It needs many hands to make the progress that needs to happen quickly. But every single one of these leaders is committed to support us on our phase 2 journey to make businesses more inclusive for people with disabilities across their employees and their customers. So now you know who's supporting us. Let's go through the different impact areas and the solutions one by one and talk you through those. So starting with the C-suite, starting at the top. The challenge that we hear repeatedly around the C-suite is that there is ongoing leadership silence when it comes to disability. I think preaching to the choir. But we really need visible role models at the top of business, both with disabilities and talking about disability. You know, Caroline mentioned Paul Polman, who has been talking about disability on his platform for the Valuable 500 and way beyond that. But imagine the noise we could make and the change we could make if we had 50 Paul Polmans, or if we had 500 Paul Polmans. We want to change the narrative around disability in leadership through the power of storytelling to open up the conversation. So we will be working with all of our Iconic Leaders to share their stories around disability, both personal and business. And we will be encouraging our other 485 valuable leaders and their C-suite teams to share their stories as well. And from a future C-suite perspective, we will be building a next generation group of leaders with first-hand experience of disability, which we are calling Valuable Minds. And what is unique about this is it will be talent from our 500 companies, and we will be developing a reverse mentoring scheme to match that talent with the CEOs. So that it's kind of the two-way piece. Okay, on to culture. So the 2 challenges we hear consistently, again, you guys will have heard all of these, but we hear consistently in the people space. I must have 90% of companies must have said this same challenge, no matter how big or small they are. So 1, how do we get an accurate read on our employee disability data? How do we do that? And 2, how do we attract and retain disabled talent? Barriers around employees identifying as disabled, whether physical or invisible, and navigating the different legalities and legislations across markets for global organizations. So I'm excited to announce that we will be working with Deloitte and with Google on a global exercise to gather employee disability data across our 500 companies to help support on that first challenge. And then on the second challenge around recruitment of talent, we will be working with Mahindra and Salesforce on a methodology for valuable 500 companies to more easily recruit people with disabilities. Customer. So there are lots of innovations happening in the disability space around the world right now, but there's not enough. There's just not enough. How can we as businesses get better at making our products and services more inclusive and accessible? It seems straightforward, right? We will be working with Procter & Gamble and Omnicom to take this challenge on. And we'll be developing a customer experience audit with them to help our companies identify both the blockers and the opportunities for disabled customers to purchase. We will also be working with Verizon in the space of accessible technology to scale their Teach Access program. So for those of you who might not know, Teach Access is a collaboration in the US between a number of technology companies, including Verizon and Google, who are our iconic leaders, but also Facebook, Microsoft, and Apple are all involved. And they've been working with the universities in America to equip the next generation students with accessibility skills. And we want to scale this by connecting those accessibility experts of tomorrow with the businesses of today, or with our businesses in the first instance. Reporting. So as we all know, disability data is publicly very limited and often actually completely excluded and invisible from internal reporting, such as annual reports for businesses, and external reporting when you look at the global indices. Our feeling on this is that if we want to genuinely drive system change, we need to collectively understand where we're starting from as a community. So we want to encourage public disclosure of corporate disability data from all of our companies. It's a big ask, but why not? We will be working with the London Stock Exchange Group, EY and Allianz to build a framework for both internal and external reporting of disability metrics. Research. As you will all know, again, the most recent global report into disability from the World Health Organization was back in 2011, 10 years ago now. There is just not enough global research done in the space of disability, and we want to try and change that. We plan to work with EY and with Sky on a global listening tool to uncover insights from disabled consumers around the world and share those insights through reports with our companies. So we want to hear the views of the global disabled community. When have they had a good customer experience? When have they had a terrible customer experience? Similarly, on the employee side. And we'd like to start by asking for feedback on our 500 companies in the first instance, and just getting that kind of two-way feedback loop going. And then finally, representation. The world presented in advertising and the media should reflect the society it serves. But unfortunately, there's a huge gap in representation of people with disabilities, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. There isn't a global data metric on this, as I mentioned with the lack of global research. But to give just some context, in North America, less than 3% of characters seen on screen have a disability, which is clearly woefully under the number, the percentage number that it should be. So we will be working with Sony and with the BBC to set a new visual standard for representation of people with disabilities. And we'll be building a media hub of creative assets and creative resources for our companies and their agencies to use in their marketing communications, both externally and internally. So that is a whistle-stop tour through the 6 impact areas and the initiatives that we'll be working on. We'll be starting work with the iconic leaders and their teams on these business solutions later this month, and there will be a phased rollout across the initiatives later this year. So that gives you an overview of what the iconic leaders will be doing. But what will the rest of the community be doing? And there, hello.
Have a wave.
So introducing our Chief Partnerships Officer, Crosby Cromwell. This is Crosby giving us a little wave. Crosby joined the team a couple of months back and has been working tirelessly on a community strategy and plan to connect our community together. And by community, I mean both the companies that have signed, our 500 companies, but also our collaborators and our partners. Every single company will have a relationship manager, and they will be contacted at least once a quarter, but we will also be connecting the community to one another. We've had lots of requests as and when companies come on board. They often ask if they can, how do they connect with companies within their country or within their sector to reach out and sort of share information. So we'll be doing that through events, both virtual at the moment and in real life when we hopefully are allowed to. And our first event will be Valuable Virtual, what we're calling Valuable Virtual. And that will be happening on Tuesday, the 13th of July. So that's a date for your diary, but Crosby will be in touch with all the information on that in the coming weeks. We'll also be continuing working with the global data company Mintel to produce our quarterly trend reports for our companies. These are purely focused on disability, the first of their kind. And the next issue will be going out to you all at the end of this month. And we will continue with our annual research. We call this the Valuable Truth, to hear from our companies directly, to get the feedback and to make sure that we know how people are feeling, how the companies are feeling, and we get those verbatims through regularly. And then finally, with campaigning at our heart, we will be encouraging collective action across our global community at least once each year. We like to call this the kind of micro move. So if we've got 500 companies making a micro move each at the same time, that can create a global mega move and make some noise. We want to make some noise at least once a year collectively as a community. So as Caroline said, one firefly on its own flying around doesn't really get anywhere, but a sky full of fireflies can really make a change and make a light. But Crosby will be in touch with all of you in the coming weeks to introduce herself if you haven't met her already.
I mean, she's in bed this morning. She'd be there, but it's 3 a.m. where she is.
Yes, exactly. Crosby's based in Washington, D.C., I should say. So it's 3 a.m. for her today. At the moment, there she goes.
There she goes, waving.
And we are also building the Valuable 500 a new home as we speak. So this is going to be a fantastic digital platform to connect our fantastic global community. And it will be a place where the teams from our 500 companies can connect with each other and share the work being done in the disability inclusion space in their business, in their market, and in their sector. We really want this to be a kind of thriving hub of activity. The brief to the agency has been, we want one login that will give our signatories 499 sources of information. So it really feels like I'm putting in, but I'm going to be getting back. And all of that information is going to help me to do my job better and to progress the disability inclusion agenda further. This will be a space for our companies to share information, to ask questions, and to help each other. And it will launch later this summer, towards the end of August this year. So yeah, this is a 3-year transformation program, and we're all on the journey together. Whether that's the team, the companies, you as the collaborators, the CEOs. And we've talked about, in terms of KPIs or what success looks like. And my view on this is that success looks like any one of our companies committing to this journey for 3 years with us and finding any one of these solutions useful in helping them to be more inclusive for people with disabilities, whether that's their employees or their customers. But that's kind of just one company's success. If we want to create system change success as a collective, it really means all of us being on the journey for the next 3 years together and working to shift the dial as one. For me, the community's already done a great thing. It's done a great thing in coming together and finding each other. And we've actually done one great thing 500 times. And that repetition of every single CEO that has physically signed a commitment statement to say, yes, I back you, I support you, I will help you, my name is against this. We're going to do something as a company to make things better for our employees or for our customers with disabilities. We have repeatedly broken the leadership silence on disability inclusion as a collective and come together. Every single CEO has given his or her personal promise to do something. And I just think that those 500 individuals now coming together as a collective, just imagine the amazing things we're going to be able to do if we can all pull in one direction together to make change happen. And back to Caroline.
Oh, sorry. So I was about to say, and then from that point on, so if you see the 3-year program, as Joe was saying, we've talked about it 3 years because we're going to go from 500 to the rest of the world. So the success is the rest of the world. And if you look at the next slide now, for those of you who can't see, like myself, there is a beautiful video image. Okay, now I used to say it was sparrows. It's not. It's starlings. Richard Poston, who has informed me. So this is what we call a murmuration. And you see these starlings are literally moving and making these gorgeous formations in the sky. And as Joe was saying, this is like 500 simple acts coming together to make something beautiful and profound. And I think that's the magic of the Valuable 500. It is now getting that collective influence and action and spirit of something that we can't ignore, because you can't. When you see a murmuration, if you're lucky enough to see it, you stop. And this is our moment together to make this happen, our connecting together, because we're here to do this. We're here to serve. And this will only work as a community if the community works in collaboration or in symphony, as I've been told is a great word, with everybody else. But we have a whole culture, and our philosophy is, I've talked about this before, it's about intelligent magic. Now, everything about the Valuable 500, even the logo, you see the V, okay, which is a hard V, and you see the heart. And I think maybe that's just something special about us. It's the intersection between head and heart, soft and strong, and between intelligence and magic, meaning that you have to have magic in the humanity, but you need the process, the pragmatism, the science, and the data. So everything about the way we will work together as a community needs to use the left and the right-hand side of our brains, never one more than the other. It is in that perfect balance that we will get there. And we love our is it alliterations when we say all words beginning? Yeah. So our philosophy for work has a few I's in it, and it's based on intersectionality. Now, listen, we all know this word has become very well used since the pandemic, particularly, other than you're on mute, which means the way we look at disability business inclusion is through the lens of intersectionality, meaning that disability is as equally important, and it is one of many assets of how we turn up as human beings. And this is a very important part about, and we're seeing that change within diversity and inclusion now. The second one is intergenerational, and I think many of us in business, we're seeing the new and younger generation, the younger generation, and they have a very different view of the world with very different tools. We're hearing about disability pride now. I mean, I'm going to be 50 this year, and it certainly was not what it was like for me when I was growing up. And I think there's real intelligence, and Joe referred to it in Valuable Minds. Can you imagine that 500 young talent with disability in our businesses teaching our CEOs? I mean, seriously, that's going to be some, I think, great opportunity for learning. The next one is around integration. I think all of us know that we've come to the time now that disability needs to be integrated, built into the systems, not standalone. I mean, when I started my business years and years ago, we had standalone systems because it felt that we had to get the light for the time that was required for the community. We do that, yes, with the power of the Valuable 500, but we are demanding integration. And interconnectedness is our last one. And interconnectedness is not the role of the CHRO or the diversity and inclusion. This is about cross-functional, right across the supply chain, right across the value chain, because it's all interconnected. You've heard about collective collaboration. We don't need to talk about that, but that is the point of collaboration. There is enough pie for all of us, and we collectively move together. But the last one possibly is the most important, which is safe to fail. And safe to fail for us is, you know, that one of the greatest barriers to any business or individual doing anything is fear of getting it wrong. Well, if we're going to innovate, we're going to fail, and we can do that well in community. And from failure comes the great opportunity. And those of you who know us know that we failed on many false starts for the Valuable 500. And I think we're here today because of our failure. And we want to pass that philosophy on. So, such a big ambition needs kind of game-changing support, because to get this far, we had you guys, very little money, Paul Poman and a few with Omnicom, Virgin Media Group and One Young World. But we are going to need much bigger support. And so we are revealing your valuable 500 ecosystem or community. So we're going to talk through very quickly each one of those groups and their role to play. So to begin with, this is another drum roll. And those of you who know that we have literally had to remortgage houses and survive on nothing. The announcement of the Nippon Foundation joining us on the 29th of January was the game changer. The Nippon Foundation have invested $5 million in the phase 2 of the Valuable 500. This is the biggest singular investment, philanthropic, into disability business inclusion. And what is exciting about this is it means that we will never have to ask our companies to pay membership fees. And the money that the companies have will go into your work, into the work that you do. They can pay for the work you do and not give excuses. They can resource up their businesses. We did not want to take any money away from that. And that means we are financially sustainable and the team is able to exist without fear and get on with the job of being brilliant. The second piece is the World Economic Forum have come in as a deeper partner, and they are our strategic platform partner, really representing the credibility of business in the network. And we have the International Disability Alliance, which is possibly the most important for us. And that will be led by Vladimir Cook to ensure that we are accountable again as a community to the community of people with disabilities around the world. And then you also see our iconic leaders and partners. Now, before we go to the next, as I talk to the last part of our presentation, we had to share with you this very small video from Nippon. Now, there's a moment you're going to hear the first 2 sentences, which make me break my heart laughing. But what it also shows is it really is the world's changing. And that's why when you hear the end of this video, you'll see, I think this is why we've got the greatest chance in the world to make this happen. So over to the wonderful Aishiro from the Nippon Foundation.
I am very happy and excited to announce we have 500 valuable companies and are able to move to the next phase. Investing $5 million in a 2-year-old social enterprise was not an easy decision for the Nippon Foundation to take. But we took it because we believe the Valuable 500 can become a fundamental game changer, transforming the way people with disabilities are supported and revolutionizing disability inclusion. The Nippon Foundation has supported persons with disabilities and pursued the goal of a diverse and inclusive society for over 50 years. For instance, we created a deaf education system in Vietnam, enabling deaf children to study in sign language from primary school through to university. It took 20 years. We developed programs to train local prosthetic and orthotic professionals to international standards in 6 Asian countries. This has taken 30 years. We have worked with NGOs, governments, and international organizations on these projects. But missing has been business, the most powerful and influential sector on the planet. The Valuable 500 has taken up the challenge of bringing inclusion commitment into the global CEO community, not based on the concept of social welfare, but strengthening the economic benefits of employing people with disabilities. This is truly a new approach. 500 of the world's leading companies assuming a leadership role in disability inclusion, which we believe will give birth to fresh thinking and lead to new solutions to global issues. We sincerely hope that together with you all, we will be able to achieve a better world by using this new platform, the Valuable 500, to the fullest extent.
You gotta love him. I mean, honestly, I wish I could just explain to you what that felt like when we heard that commitment come through. We worked Joe and I and the team really hard to make it happen, but they are fabulous partners. We're so proud to have them.
Yeah.
Joe's talked you through the iconic leaders. I don't need to repeat, but what I will say is, what's amazing about this is we said we do iconic 10, right, Joe? We were like, if we got 10, like, woohoo, we'd be brilliant. And we, as you can see, 13 are there, and we do have 2 more to drop. We just can't officially announce them, but that just shows you. So we've got skin in the game from business, and we got skin in the game from philanthropy, and I think that's what's really important, is that we're all in this together. Now, the next group you'll see is our advisory group, and that is chaired by Paul Pohman, and the job of this group is to keep us accountable. So if you can imagine, this ecosystem is to support the community of the Valuable 500, but it's also to keep us real and to keep us accountable and hold us to the opportunity that we've created. The job of this advisory board is to be really hard on us, the team. It is to be really hard on us so that we deliver for the Valuable 500 community, and the Valuable 500 community deliver for the disability community. Every single member on this board has a connection to disability. They bring a very different background of experience, and none of them would accept to come onto this unless they were allowed, challenged, and be able to do. And so it's a great group. I'm very proud to see them be part of it. The next group is a system super group. The system super group. Well, I mean, the whole thing is sort of like we're trying to create the ecosystem of ecosystem, the team of teams. The whole point of this, which is chaired by Vladimir Cook of the International Disability Alliance, every single one of these institutions represents the ecosystem to which business operates in. And business doesn't operate some little sector all on its own. It's touched by all of these institutions, as is the experience of having a disability. All of these institutions and organizations have their own plans around disability inclusion. And our job is to ensure that we support them and they support us, and that we do not recreate wheels, we do not compete with each other, but how and when we can look after each other, have each other's back, because together, in that tagline, we are better. I'm sure it's been used 1,000 times, but we are now here to try and build as much alliance as we can to create a system supergroup across the world which will back each other on disability inclusion. And very lastly, are you guys. So we had 8 expert partners for phase 1. Thank you so much. And you know that we had more than 100 of you around the world to help us. And since the Valuable 500 has grown, we are getting constant reach outs from so many people who we want to be part of collaborating for success for the future. You are the vendors, you are subject matter experts, and you are global solution partners all around the world, and you're innovators in your own right. What we will be doing is that Crosby will be reaching out, or you can reach out into us directly to create the next phase 2 of the collaborators, which we would like to announce when we reveal our digital hub. Essentially, at its very core is a director of the best of you, who we can signpost to business to ensure that they're getting the right competency and right expert partners that they need to build. Because remember, the Valuable 500 is just at the C-suite. We have so much work. We are not a consultancy group. We never claimed to be, and we will not be. You guys are, and so therefore we need to point to the right people doing the right job in the right way. And very lastly, right at the heart of this ecosystem is these waving geniuses. Woohoo! This is your team. This is our team. Who it's really hard. Once again, if those of you who are at that table in EY, there was Caroline and an idea. Here you will see the team, and I keep saying this, could not be more proud, because this is a beautiful thing to have a group of individuals, all from very unique backgrounds, very different, everybody connected personally to disability, who have worked really hard. Some people have been with us right from the beginning. Richard, who was waving up there madly from Director of Comms, and Chris have been with me for nearly 11 years. Crosby, as you know, from joining us from the US, will be our Director of Partnerships. Claire Benful, you've just met, who is our Director of Events. Chloe has joined us as our Chief Marketing Officer. Maribel, who is working in the Lebanon, is looking after our social media. Sarah is our Director of Operations. Chris, I referred to already. And there, waving in the corner, is our Head of Marketing, Karis, who many of you will know and heard of, and here's Joe. We also will be having 2 or 3 more people join our team to make sure that we serve the community as best we can. We have no intention of growing too big. We want to keep it small. And the way we will take talent in is to reach out through our networks and have relationships and collaboration. So there you go. This is it.
This is it.
Whew.
I'm conscious of time.
So the challenge is big, we know it, and that's why we've written it. But I want to say it can be done if we have the will and intention of collaboration, if we choose to collectively work together, if we refuse to take the excuses that have been dealt, if we work on what we've seen in this global pandemic. The system can change when it wants to. If we reach out to each other, find our commonalities, challenge each other, but with respect. I know this can be done because look at this plan. This is our plan that many of us have been around this space for a long, long time. And we will have very specific KPIs. That this plan has been designed for business, with business and the disability community. And the plan's great, but we also have the heart. And we also have 500 shortcuts to change. This is Joe's greatest line. 500 shortcuts to change. One simple act multiplied by 500. And with that 500, we have 15 iconic leaders with their businesses and the power of their supply chains. And most importantly, we have the 500 companies. This can happen because this is all of our business together. This is our business. And I really believe this is our time. And to use the COVIDness, we will and are building back better. But as Paul says, with the disability community. So I want to end this. I'm going to give the last word to Joe. But before I do, I want to say thank you again. Thank you to every one of you from a long time ago to this very moment. I want to thank Claire for doing a phenomenal job on getting this our first webinar. It's our very first own webinar. I want to thank Attendable for being so patient with us as we did our first virtual webinar. My Clear Text, who we all love for our captioning, and Interpreting Matters for our interpretation, because this was our first out. We've been at everybody else's, but thank you. And I'm going to give Joe the floor, and we are here for any questions and answers now or afterwards that you may want. And once again, a huge thank you from me.
Yes, thank you so much. And I know Claire has got some questions from you all, and very conscious of time. So let's try and get a couple of questions in if we can before we close. But yes, a huge thank you from me as well to everybody for your time and for your support and for your attention.
Okay, we've got time for a couple of questions. The first one is just, first of all, amazing work, Team Valuable 500. How will you be able to keep on top of all the commitments that the companies in the Valuable 500 have made?
Yeah, this is a question I think comes up an awful lot, and I think it's about the honor code, isn't it? It was ensuring, Joe, that I think a lot of people went, yeah, pledge, blah, blah, how do you do it? Well, look, this is our answer. The community holds itself to account. We've spoken about if a company does not have evidence to prove that it's, done what it said it was going to do we eject them? Yeah, I think we probably do. So it's the companies, the community itself. The second thing is a CEO has given a signature and a commitment, and that's something we can hold to account. The employees, we get the employees coming back an awful lot and really asking us for reports. And also, most lastly, is the world of social media and media. But one thing I'd like to say is we are not having a hard problem getting our companies to keep their commitments. What we're having a hard problem is that they want to do more. And actually, that's the piece we've had to bring Crosby in to ensure that she's building out a full team to work closely. Joe, is there anything you want to add?
No, only that the employees will hold the CEOs to account. It's sort of kind of top down and bottom up. So we've got the CEOs that have signed to say those actions will happen, but also part of the signature is that we ask the CEOs to announce to the company, I've signed the Valuable 500, we've committed to action. This is the action we've committed to as a business. So it's about the employees kind of holding the CEO to account as well.
Thank you. Another question we've got that's come in. Thanks, guys. This is all very exciting. Why do you think now is the right time for change?
As I said, it's well, listen,
Why not?
Like, it's 2021. Why are we even having this conversation? You know, I mean, it's ludicrous, isn't it, that we are demanding the equal inclusion and the equity of people with disabilities. I just find that extraordinary. But I think it's because, honestly, the world has changed so fast. And Joe, I don't know what you think, but I think COVID has been a game changer for lots of reasons.
I would say that the last 12 months where the pandemic hit this time last year, and we thought, oh, you know, we're at 250 CEOs. This is now going to be a real uphill struggle for us to get anybody's attention at all. Where we've had companies coming to us, we've had chief diversity officers being put in place that wouldn't otherwise have been in companies. We've had lots of attention from organizations who want to make sure that they are considering inclusion from all angles and are aware that they've been missing a trick really with disability, that it is an area that has been invisible, and they want to make sure they're proactive and that they're doing the right thing in terms of being more inclusive. So we are seeing companies coming to us. It's a shift in the tide, I would say.
Thank you both. That's all the time we have for questions. So I'll hand you back to Caroline and Joe.
Thank
well,
you
all
so
we've
much.
got to do, we could do the waving, couldn't we, Joe? We could do
the Queen waving. And what I would say is, if there have been, I don't know how many questions there have been, because obviously we've been, but if there are lots of questions, you can come to us at any point. You can come to Crosby. We will proactively answer any questions that have been put through and send out answers to you all. But thank you so much for your time, for your attention, for your support. It's been an absolute honor to get to know you all, and we're really excited to be on this journey together for phase 2.
Yeah, and for me to say is this is, we have our second one this afternoon, and thank you for those of you tuning in from after a bank holiday in the UK and Ireland at 9 a.m. But once again, a huge thank you. And look, we're here, we're not going anywhere, and let's do this. Let's just go blast this one. Let's make this opportunity worth everything it's been. So thank you, everybody, and I hope you enjoy the disco out with our rag and bone man and have coffee. So love to everybody, and be in touch, and we will talk to you soon.
I understood loneliness before I knew what it was. I saw the pills on your table for your unrequited love. I would be nothing without you holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am the giant. Oh, I am the giant. Don't hide your emotions. You can throw down your guard and feed from the notion. We can be who we are. You taught me something, yeah. Freedom is ours. It was you who taught me living is togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. I am a giant. Stand up on my shoulders. Tell me what you see. 'Cause I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am the giant. Oh, I am the giant. Oh.
shake, roll away in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, roll away in the dirt under me, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw it away in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw it away in the dirt, yeah. I'm gonna shake, throw it away.